Primeval, the 26th Doctor Who Big Finish release, released in the main range, first released in 4 parts on the 23rd of November 2001 and written by Lance Parkin. Like with the first Doctor Who Big Finish story I reviewed, Spare Parts, this one presumably takes place in the gap between Time Flight and Arc of Infinity. When his companion Nyssa, voiced once again by Sarah Sutton, falls ill, mysteriously, the Fifth Doctor, voiced again by Peter Davison, takes her back to Traken. However, Traken, at this point, it's not the same point that they left it. This is Traken around circa 1000 BC, in terms of Earth time. And he takes her back there so that she can rest, they can try and heal her, and ultimately get her back to full health, thanks to the Traken source. He does this along with the help of Shayla, who's taking care of Traken. She's voiced by Susan Penhaligon. Also, Shayla's assistant, Sabian, voiced by Ian Hallard, and a couple of consuls of Traken, including Janice, voiced by Rita Davies, Hirsa, voiced by Michael Woolgar, and Etrak, voiced by Alistair Locke. However, when it seems that Nyssa isn't really getting better, the Doctor must venture off-world where he encounters a ship, which is with several crew members, including Anona, voiced by Romy Tennant, and Narthex, voiced by Billy Milner. And while he's on board the ship, the Doctor ends up encountering a being known as Quandar, voiced by Stephen Grief. And in a kind of deal with the devil situation, the Doctor realises that if he truly wants Nyssa to get better, he may have to make a deal. And in doing so, he may end up putting the whole of Traken at risk. As it turns out, Quandar is a lot more than they thought. Quandar used to be one of the first settlers on Traken at a time when the Trakenites did look more to gods and did have more mystical beliefs. But when Quandar he was the creator of the Source, or at least one of the creators, and thus when he had created it, he was pushed aside because the Trakens now followed science. And so now he wants to, now in a disembodied form, he wants to essentially take over Traken, take over the Source, and in doing so he manages to trick the Doctor. Like later on, the Doctor and Nyssa, they go back and look at the Source without Trakenites with them, and the Doctor puts another kind of layer of protection, like a force field around it, going, well, hopefully Quandar won't be able to get into it now, but he actually gets the wrong idea. That he thinks that by increasing the force field, he'll be able to prevent Quandar from getting in. But instead of preventing Quandar from getting in, it prevents all the energy and the light that the Source provided from getting out of the caves, and in doing so, allows people now under the control of Quandar to invade. And it is a rather good story of alien infiltration. Now, as to what I think of this story overall, I think with the Fifth Doctor stories, they're kind of been up and down. I don't necessarily think I like it as much as, say, Spare Parts or Red Dawn. But at the same time, I think it's one of those stories that does pick up. Like, first 2 parts I was just kind of thinking, okay, well, I'm sure I can muscle through this, but then with the last 2 parts I was like, okay, now this is where it's getting interesting. And it's one of those stories that I don't necessarily think has a great start, but then it does pick up later on, and come the start of part 4, you're kind of wondering what's going to happen and how are they going to solve this. And that's always what a good story can do. It can make, even if it doesn't necessarily grab you at first go, if it provides a suitably good twist and can keep your interest towards the end, then it's a pretty good story. So, there you go. I mean, Primeval, as I said, I don't know if I think it's as good as, say, Spare Parts or Red Dawn, or I'd say it's maybe on a similar level as Phantasmagoria. Like, that one also was a little slow starting, but then did pick up later on. So Primeval, I'd say give it a listen if you haven't already. I've probably spoiled quite a lot of the story beats now, but I apologise for that, and I advise you, check out Primeval, Doctor Who's Primeval, because I know Primeval is also series was on ITV, but Doctor Who's Big Finish Primeval, I'd say, is a pretty good story. Anyway, until next time, see ya.